Smasho here, coming at you from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. The place to watch is certainly the northeastern limb. We've got solar flare updates, coronal mass ejection updates, including the likelihood of additional CMEs occurring, also a comet showing up in the imagery. That and lots more today on the Daily Space Weather. Massive sunspots there in the northeast. As always, we've got some composite imagery as well. Here's 94 plus 335 angstroms. And let's take a look at sunspots here in the SDO intensity gram. Yesterday plus today, there's the imagery from SDO. Multiple umbrae there larger than the Earth. Also an interesting sunspot here very close to the equator. We've got sunspots at very high latitudes and sunspots at very low latitudes, as has been the norm throughout solar cycle 25. This is your SDO colorized magnetogram for yesterday plus today. And let's talk social media. In 2019, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison for a crime we didn't commit. We promptly escaped a maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground where we survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find the content, maybe you can hire the Smash team. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Help us out with clicks. Visit the homepage at smashomash.com. Tell us what your favorite social media is in the links below. Your favorite anti-social media, perhaps. Let us know what it is in the comments. And, of course, visit our links there from the homepage as well as below the video if you like. Smashomash.com. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. One of the links you can find there is a link to our Hemp Lucid shop right there. Save 40% store-wide as the Black Friday sale has already begun. We've already done one review. You can find all kinds of product review videos in our playlists at youtube.com/smashomash/playlists. Here's some bandwagon advertising. Those are the most popular on this site. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, become a member of the Smash team at smashomash.com/Smash team. Thanks to everybody who has. There's a gold level. There's a silver level. There's a gold annual paid up subscription, which is the best value. There's also a bronze level, which is free. Just head to smashomash.com/Smash team and click posts to see what we've been up to, because we don't really trust social media to do so because of the pathetic, putrid censorship. Another link you can find on our homepage as well as below the video and on the Smash Team page is to SureMed. Improve your health by becoming a member of the the American Better Health Organization. You get discounts on dentistry, vision, pharmacy, vitamins, labs, CT scans, and MRIs. There's even virtual veterinarians, doctors by phone, counselors by phone. Don't lose your mind. Contact counselors by phone. It's a free feature included with your SureMed membership. Again, links below the video and on the homepage to that. If you ain't got a Twitter account, get yourself a Twitter account. I mean, Facebook is basically unusable. It's even more pathetic. I mean, look, the censorship is not fixed on Twitter. The censorship is just as pathetic as it was last year. It's just that now people are worried that something's going to change with content moderation. I believe it's just Elon's latest investment scam. I mean, let's face it. He used Twitter to scam about Tesla stock, about Dogecoin, about Bitcoin, and now about Twitter. So in any case, recently retweeting a post there by Ian Miller. Shout out to Ian Miller. Somebody who likes things like facts about things like masks. So check us out over there. That is the most common social media that we'll be using. You can also find links to the merch shop below the video and on the homepage. And of course, I'm not only Smashomash, I'm also a client. Today's featured product is Mansa. Make America Not Suck Again. And of course, I'm wearing the Mensa and the Mansa because I want to make Earth not suck again, as well as make America not suck again, because, well, those things go hand in hand. America leads the way. and will likely continue to lead the way. So make America not suck again. It's a message of personal responsibility. It's up to you. It's up to we the people. Make sure you recognize who has been failing at decision-making for the past pushing 3 years, and make sure that they are accountable. So act local, think global, and make America not suck again. Do your part. It's up to you. A link to smashomash.org. Make America not suck again in order to make Earth not suck again. It's part of our mission. Press like, press subscribe, press share, leave a comment if you enjoy the content. We are not content with the number of of subscribers as well as views. Look at the pathetic views. It's only the most detailed space weather and imagery of the sun you'll find anywhere in the known universe. And if you're viewing any place besides YouTube, you're missing out on lots of the content. So BitChute users, go over to YouTube and subscribe over there. You will not find most of the content in our playlists on BitChute. And let's get back to some weather. This is geologic weather, really. It's the volcano rundown. So Shivaluch, probably erupting, but volcanic ash not identifiable in satellite imagery. It's probably cloudy over Kamchatka. Abiko, certainly erupting, producing a 9,000-foot ash plume. Sakurajima, 8,000-foot ash plume. Popocatépetl, 20,000-foot ash plume over central Mexico. It's a flight level 200 as Popocatépetl explodes. Fuego in Guatemala also exploding, flight level 160. It's a 16,000-foot ash plume over Guatemala. Sangay in Ecuador exploding, flight level 200, 20,000-foot ash plume. Revenador, 16,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. And Sabancaya, down in Peru, also exploding, flight level 220. Please do not pole vault the caldera. Again, please do visit our links. Earthquake drought is commencing here. We've only seen 3 7-magnitude earthquakes in the past 90 days, and they're all packed into a tight period of time there. Remember, folks, any earthquake can be a foreshock. No major quakes over the past 24 hours. The largest was a 5.6. Indonesia did see a 5.1. And we'll scroll up the list here. If we miss anything, let us know in the comments. Solomon Islands had a 5.1. Indonesia had a 5.6. That was the largest quake of the past 24 hours. That was at depth, at over 230 kilometers estimated depth. Again, folks, remember, any earthquake can be a foreshock. And also remember, this idea that a deep quake is somehow a predictive factor in forecasting other quakes is just ridiculous. We've looked at it for the last 5 years, and there is no signal there. Southern Mid-Atlantic Ridge also saw a 5.2, and Russia, actually closer to Japan, really, had a 5.2. Peru had a 5.0. And we saw a 5.1 here more just recently here in the Aleutian Islands. 5.1 out there near the Aleutians. Getting back to space, some more spectacular composite imagery there from SDO. That's 335 plus 171 angstroms. And of course, we've got some additional great imagery here. Here is the northeastern limb in 171. It is the house favorite wavelength that shows the lower corona. And let's continue on. There's plenty more to cover. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux now at 131 solar flux units. Rising back up over 130 as I forecasted yesterday. So here is the 1-year graph. Radio flux is the black line. Sunspot number is the red line. As we see this solar uptick commencing. No space weather storms or geomagnetic unrest here forecasted by NOAA. We're seeing the coronal hole high-speed stream subsiding at the moment. And here's Earth's magnetic moment from space out to about 12 Earth diameters for the last 4 hours. That's magnetohydrodynamic pressure. Nanopascals, magnetohydrodynamic pressure, modeled by the Space Weather Modeling Framework. If you want to read about that, scroll down on the Magnetosphere Movies page, click on Details, click on the link to Space Weather Modeling Framework. You can download all of the software that does the calculations. Next, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. This is magnetic flux density nanotesla for the past 4 hours. Again, things are subsiding here. We're not seeing any major aurorae likely at the moment. And we aren't seeing very many good tweets on Twitter because, well, my Twitter feed is inundated with political nonsense from accounts that I don't even follow, like Billy Baldwin. Don't really care what he has to say. And he's spouting a bunch of nonsensical, parroted talking points. So here's your KP index. KP1 is the current state of affairs. It's geomagnetic calm conditions. And let's take a look at the real-time solar wind. Again, coronal hole high-speed stream subsiding here over the past 24, coming down from about 500 kilometers a second down to about 425 kilometers per second. Solar wind density here quite low, 3.45 protons per cubic centimeter. The rest of those are fairly unremarkable. Let's move on to the GOES magnetometers. Seeing a little bit higher lows over the past 24 hours. And here's our top view ecliptic plane field plot. And we are seeing some additional migration here of the north solar polar field. So keep an eye on this area right here. You'll see that start to get some little red blotches on it, an indication that it is making its way away from the north solar polar region. And let's take a look at the line of sight plot briefly before we move to coronal holes. Solar B field shown in blue, solar polar fields in red for south, green for north. Let's move to coronal holes. Here are the coronal holes. And we've got a south pole oriented coronal hole here in the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Let's move to the SDO. There you go. Getting pretty well defined there is that south pole oriented coronal hole. And let's move to sunspots since we've got some huge ones. Pretty high sunspot number here. Most of the activity in the northern hemisphere. Likelihood of large flares is significant. Likelihood of coronal mass ejections remains at nearly 100%. We'll tell you why momentarily. First, the SDO continuum. Let's get a little closer. So lots of sunspots there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 named groups. Most likely place to see a major flare would be from this monster over here. That is a beta gamma class at least. We'll show detailed analysis of that toward the end of the video. There's your close-up. And as you can see, we've got at least 3 umbrae there that are larger than the Earth. Let's move on to energetic particles and flaring. No energetic particles here. The GOES proton flux remains flatlined. Only minor flaring here. Expecting this to rise into the C background level. So, not there yet. Largest flare of the past 24 was this C2.8. Just a minor flare, really. And here's the SDO 131 angstroms. That is the last 24 hours. And if you're up before dawn, you may see Mars, not too far from Betelgeuse. This is a star chart of what's going on above our head in Lehigh Valley. And of course, we've got the Sun, Venus, and Mercury very close together there in the sky. As Cygnus is rising here as it sweeps across the horizon there around the north. Next, a solar system forecast. We're approaching a full moon. Let's move this ahead 1 week to show you where things will be on the 13th. There's where things will be on the 13th. We will have a gibbous waning moon. And let's take a look at some coronagraphs. So here's yesterday from George Mason University. Things pretty calm there. 1 CME there off to the northeast. And here's today's frames. And we do have a comet diving in here. You can see that. We're going to show you a little better view of that. Let us know in the comments if you think it's going to break up or is it going to come out the other side of the coronagraph. Let's take a look at stereo A here in a little greater detail, as well as Soho Lasco C3. For you new viewers, Earth would be off in this direction from stereo A's perspective. It would be behind you from the perspective of Soho Lasco C3, located at Lagrange point 1. Facing the coronagraph puts the Earth behind you at Soho Lasco C3. Great imagery there of Mercury and Venus also. No Earth-directed coronal mass ejections. Likelihood of them is nearly 100%, or at least in the earthly vicinity. So here's our 24-hour composites. And we're kind of zoomed in. Let's zoom out a little bit. Great imagery there of that comet. Also, again, Venus and Mercury showing up. And here's the even farther zoomed out view. Great imagery there from the Soho Lasco C3, C2, and SDO 304 angstroms. Again, a massive number of filaments here. Look at all those dark absorption features. So a huge amount of plasma suspended out there in between the sun and the Earth at the moment. Don't be surprised to see some Earth vicinity CMEs coming. The likelihood of that is nearly 100%. That is more plasma than can be hung out. So some of that is going to collapse, and some of that is going to be headed out into the greater solar system. That is the ground-based solar observatory at Cerro Tololo, Chile, by the way. Fantastic imagery there from the ground-based system. Dozens of filaments on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Here's the GOES 16 SUVI. You can see some prominences down here around the western limb. Also some showing up here around the eastern limb. No surprises there. With that many filaments, again, likelihood of coronal mass ejections just this side of 100%. Here's SDO 171 angstroms for the past 24 hours. Signaling that it's time. Time for bonus features. Let's get to it. Coming at you a little late today. Bonus features are showing lots of satellite charging hazards. Check it out. Major internal charging hazards here all around the planet as high energy electrons build up in the internal circuitry of satellites. Those could cause some communications breakdowns. You might see some errors in your weather satellites, things like the GOES 16 and so on. Major internal charging hazards at the moment. Electron flux is at high levels here, remaining above warning levels there, making it to over 10 times warning levels here. About 18,000 pulse flux units. And here's the NOAA forecast expecting a dip. That'll be the next coronal hole high-speed stream from that South Pole-oriented coronal hole we showed you earlier. There's the one-year graph to put the electron flux in context. Let's take a look at the ionosphere, which is showing some low-frequency anomalies. Here's the vibrational frequency of the bridge between Earth and space. The F ionosphere is located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Again, some significant low-frequency anomalies happening. And here's the anomalygram to show that. Here's the latest image. That's 13:15 Universal Time. And let's move to electron flux, or the total electron content, I should say. Total electron content shows your electrons in between your GPS satellite and your handset. This distance right here is about 12,500 miles, and those free electrons can cause signal refraction. Let's see what's going on over North America. Things not looking too out of the ordinary there. That's your total electron content for North America. Here is the standard deviation. And here's the anomaly. And thanks for leaving a comment. One audio. Next, the latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram. We show it daily. And check out the fields. There are the umbrae, and there are the fields. And those are some big sunspots indeed. This one's actually beta gamma class. That raises the likelihood of solar flares. This one up here is only alpha class. But quite a lot of activity there in the northern hemisphere. Expecting the radio flux to continue to rise here if these sunspots don't degrade. I may have a new sunspot forming down here. Possible new sunspot right there. We'll have to see what happens. No big deal. And let's take a look at one more series of composites from SDO before we move into meteorology. Robert tells us they might have a subtropical system moving to Florida. Oh, come on. We'll take a look. There's SDO 171 angstroms plus the colorized magnetogram. And let's move to the realm of meteorology. So, as the sun rises over the Atlantic, let's take a look at the ultraviolet index. And the highest levels of ultraviolet right now are over the Southern Ocean and the Southern Atlantic Ocean. No real surprises there. And let's switch to surface winds. Here are the surface winds of the eastern world. Pretty windy over Australia here at the moment. Check it out. Lots of wind over Australia. And here are the jet streams. Jet streams of the west shown here. Upper level high pressure system here. You can see a clockwise rotation. It's an anticyclone. Here are the surface winds. We've got some high winds over Montana. Surface winds of the central world looking like this. Jet streams of the central world looking like this. And here is that sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean we were talking about. That is the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite visible spectrum. Great view of those high clouds over the eastern Caribbean. Moving on to our weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county at weather.gov. Here's the key briefly so you can see what your weather warnings mean. Alaska's got tons of warnings there. And let's move on to some forecasts since the snow continues to fall. Here is your GFS accumulated positive snow depth change in inches for the next 72 hours. Expecting like 2 feet of snow for portions of Washington. Even some spots where there's like 4 feet of snow forecasted, it looks like. Out there on the Olympic Peninsula, I'm sure it's on a mountaintop, but nonetheless, quite a bit of snow forecasted there. Also, yowzers, that's over 3 feet of snow forecasted there for California. Check it out. Crazy wet, heavy snow coming to eastern California. That's a 72-hour GFS positive snow depth change forecast in inches. Here's your GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. And look at the heavy snow making its way down the coast there. Dag. And you can see this tropical low headed toward Florida that Robert was talking about. It's going to strengthen and move almost due west. That's going to be a pretty accurate forecast, folks. That is your 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. And let's take a look at the current state of affairs in terms of precipitation type. And check it out. The snow is a-fallen here at the moment. In Colorado, North Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah, and Washington. Let's advance this 3 days to see how things play out. Major snow coming there. It's going to get colder. And there's where things are expected to be at 1300 Eastern Time on Wednesday. The snow will still be falling at that point. Next, your NASA GOES lightning mapper. Some heavy lightning there over Central America. Looks like very little lightning over the northern portion of the continent. No terrestrial strikes over the U.S. Eastern Mediterranean getting hit with some thunderstorms. That is, by the way, lightningmaps.org. And moving right along here, here's the full 50-state view of AUSA, the allegedly United States of America, former nation, now banana republic. That is the Doppler radar imagery for the former nation. There is the vertical motion of water droplets in the air column, known as Doppler radar ground-based systems. Here are some space-based systems. 3.9 nanometer radiation satellite, since it's dark over half of the country. And here is your water vapor map, which I think needs some refreshing. I'm guessing it's needing some refreshing. Let's do it. And there is a water vapor. That should clear things up. Here's your recap. U.S. Doppler radar map. Make Earth not suck again. Don't pole vault the caldera. Here is your 3.9 nanometer interactive weather satellite. The NASA GOES 3.9 nanometer radiation showing clouds and fog. Make America not suck again. And here is your water vapor map. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash and Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.